Homebrewing is a popular hobby, but have you ever wondered how it works? So what is homebrewing? Merriam-Webster's dictionary doesn't have an exact definition of homebrewing. However, it does have a definition of home brew, an alcoholic beverage such as beer made at home. Homebrewing is the process of creating homebrew. Historically, it's been very common in the U.S., as farmers would use it to use up spent grain and excess fruit from their harvest season. Now, there's two different types of homebrewing that are common. Beer, being the most common and popular with hobbyists, is fun because of its complexity. You can go anywhere from a simple to a complex beverage. But because of its extra complexity, it can be more expensive than cider. Ciders, on the other hand, are extremely simple and cheap, and a good way to get into the hobby. Mead is a somewhat unusual one, but still not uncommon, as it is very simple. However, as honey is its main ingredient, it is very expensive, and it can sometimes be quite slow, up to about 2 months. Now, to begin the process of brewing, or home brewing at home, grains must be malted. The reason for this is sugar is trapped in starches inside of grains, such as barley or wheat. Malt extract can be used to expedite this process, however it is expensive and can sometimes alter the flavor. This process isn't necessary, however, for fruit, sugars, and honey, so for making mead and cider, you don't have to. The next process is the addition of water and yeast, in what is called wort. Wort is unbrewed cider or mead, or beer. Specific gravity can also be taken at this time. Specific gravity compares the weight of water versus the weight of your wort. This can be used to estimate alcohol content as well as sugar content and other contaminants within the beer. Now, at this step of the process, your yeast is added. Yeast, for those who don't know, is a form of fungus. Fermentation begins after the yeast has been added. The yeast begins to multiply very quickly and starts an exothermic process that begins the brewing. For this reason, the yeast has to be kept chilly to avoid getting too warm. And when the yeast is eating the sugars inside of the wort, ethanol and CO2 are produced. Ethanol being the main component that we use, however the CO2 is also used for carbonation. So why would you homebrew? Well, it's inexpensive and a fun hobby, and it also allows for further experimentation. You can alter flavor profiles and ideas that you would not be capable of doing with modern commercial beer. Also, it's useful for preservation of excess grains and fruits. Also, it's a good sustainability in case you want to do alcohol for fuels or detergents. As a whole, homebrewing is typically a hobby. However, in some places it's a necessity in order to use up excess farming products. It can vary in complexity from very basic things such as cider all the way up to very complex grain-only beer. And also, it creates useful byproducts such as brewer's yeast that can be used for various things.